as a DFS extraordinaire. You've been playing for quite a while now.
Yes.
You've been playing for a few years. What would you say is back when you were getting into it, kind of one of the main reasons that you decided to get into daily fantasy sports?
Well, I've been playing season-long fantasy sports for a couple years longer than I had DFS, and I had just been seeing some commercials on TV about these special new one-day contests. So I was like, hey, why not try my hand at that? And then also going along with that, I'm a finance major, and with DFS, you kind of need to construct your roster with pricing in mind. So it's a good risk reward and figuring out that kind of stuff. It's good, some good applications there.
Yeah, definitely. So like in fantasy, like season long, there's a lot of the times where you have like a free league, so you don't have to play any money. Where it's DFS, you're playing like cash every single day. What would you say is kind of like the ceiling you could ever see yourself getting into as far as like an investment goes?
Oh boy, well I've never been a big like shark who's putting hundreds, even thousands on the line. I have plenty of buddies who do that. That would be way too stressful. But I'd probably say maybe the most I've done is like about 100 a night. I feel pretty comfortable with that. But I'm definitely not a bigwig, shark. It's more of a hobby, which is healthy, I think.
Yeah, definitely. That makes sense. So when it comes to DFS, obviously, we've had like litigation and whatnot around it. It's been banned in several states. What kind of future do you see as someone that has experience in the gambling sphere? Is what's going to happen in the future and how things are going to develop?
Boy, well, I always think that's a slippery slope. I mean, gambling is legal some places. I'm not sure the full details of that, but as far as DFS goes, I feel like it's less harmful than gambling. It definitely has its pros and cons, but I think it's a little more healthy than straight up playing slot machines because you have resources on your side, and I think that's a good argument for it. You do have resources to help you build your lineups and stuff, but I'd say I would never see it getting full out banned nationwide, let's say. I'd say it has a pretty well, let's say benign future. I don't think much positive or negative is going to happen.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because one interesting thing about it is the main reason gambling is illegal in a lot of states is because people think it's just too much luck, like it's too much people just throwing their money away. But in DFS, like you were saying, like you've got buddies, even you yourself, like with hundreds of thousands of dollars in play a night, the same people win over and over again. So on one half, you could say that the game is skill, but on the other half, there's also a lot of like variance in it. So like when it comes to like variance, like what are some of the things like that can sink a lineup that are totally out of your control and cause you to lose?
Oh, okay, yeah. So some of the sites like FanDuel and DraftKings, once the first game starts, it locks all your players. So you could have spent hours and hours on research, and then 5 minutes after your lineup locks, some guy gets scratched from the lineup with the stomach flu or something. So stuff like that, which is unfortunate and tilting. But that's more a rarity, I'd say. But you still got to be on top of your news and all the updates.
Definitely. Would you say it's more of a game of skill or more of luck in your experience? Or 50-50? Which way? How do you see? What's the ratio?
I'd say it's pretty equal. Obviously, there's arguments on both sides, and I like to kind of joke around that. Oh, obviously, it's a game of skill. I'd say maybe 60-40 luck to skill, because there's definitely times where like you pick the best player, like Mike Trout in baseball, in a good matchup, and he does nothing, and you're like, oh, okay. Or you pick this random guy just as a placeholder, and he hits 2 home runs. So stuff like that would be luck, or luck being stuff that happens in the game itself, the playing of the game. But I mean, that's gambling for you. People think there's skill to blackjack, which I'm sure there is, but there's also an element of
yeah. There's always like when it comes to, because I mean, ultimately, if the house isn't winning the majority of the time, there's not going to be a house.
Exactly.
Like they got to win to pay for everything, so it makes sense. that you say that. DFS, because it's like such a new age thing, is very involved with like social media. There's like a whole community of people that play online. How would you kind of describe some of like the people you know from DFS, and then just like the community as a whole, whereas people you don't necessarily know, but just the entirety of the full scope of it?
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting community, subculture, maybe if you want to call it that. There's definitely the good people, the helpful people, and then the trolls, I don't know, cancerous people, for lack of a better term. But I've had some really good relationships. I think I told you this last April. A buddy from Milwaukee came out on his way to Vegas. We went to a Rockies game together, so that was really fun. And I have a couple local buddies too. One of our friends does basketball sometimes, and yeah, no, I'd say it's a really good community. I have a lot of, not relationships, but contacts that I talk with and learn about. Yeah.
So when you say like kind of the cancerous side and like more of the trollish side, like that there's definitely like anytime you're talking about gambling, there's going to be a seedy side to it. Like what like speak a little bit more to like just how like kind of the darker side of DFS. I got like people that necessarily aren't the greatest human beings
right
down there.
Well, I'd probably say my biggest issue would be with not even the sharks mostly, but people who think they're like semi-pro, like people who think they're hot stuff and say their plays are the best plays, their picks are the best, or stuff like that. And also there's quite a bit of pettiness with the sharks and the pros, if you want to call them that, like people challenging people to like $1,000 head-to-head matchups, like, oh yeah, trash talking and all that. So that gets a little grating, but there's definitely positive people that'll be constructive and help you.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So when 10 years from now, regardless of what you're doing, when you think back to kind of your time here in college as I'd say like probably a semi-pro DFS player, like someone that plays every day or almost every day, sets multiple lineups. What would you think? What's going to be like one of your main takeaways from your time as playing daily fantasy sports?
Well, I think just that it was a fun hobby, and it taught me some transferable skills of maybe like risk reward management, optimization. Figuring out, should I have a higher end guy and a lower end guy, two mid-level guys, stuff like that. I honestly hope to continue. I've kind of tapered off in the past 6 months or so in my playing, but I hope to kind of continue throughout my life and keep it as a hobby.
Nice. That's good to hear. Well, Mr. Brendan, thanks for sitting down with us today.
Of course.